Well, Roman, again, thanks for chatting with me today. And I know you're an author, professor, futurist. Tell me, what topic or technology strikes you as most critical to explore today as a futurist?
Artificial intelligence. We're getting close to general AI, maybe even super intelligence. So I can't think of anything more exciting, more revolutionary, more scary.
Yeah, it is. And I know I saw a YouTube video where you were talking about this. I think it was in London, and everyone kept wanting to hear the optimistic viewpoint. But you said the most optimistic thing you can think of is that you were wrong. Can you expand on that a little bit in terms of AI and where it's headed?
So part of my research is finding problems, concerns with control, with explainability of this technology. And I'm doing a great job in finding problems. I'm not doing a great job in providing solutions. I was hoping I would get some help with it, but not yet.
Okay.
So this is the state of the art. We know how to make systems more capable. We know how to deploy them in real world applications. We're not very good at fully comprehending how they work, predicting what they will do, or being able to control systems as they become more capable.
And I know you talked about control versus safety. Can you dig a little bit into how you view those differently and how they can impact us?
So there is definitely a lot of connection between the two, but you can be safe, but not in control, right? Animals in a zoo are very safe, but they definitely don't control their lives. Ideally, we want to be both pretty safe and also deciding what happens to us, to the future of humanity. We don't want to surrender our decision making to machines, even if they are much smarter or more capable or have a proven track record of making good decisions for the last 5 years.
I know you recently published a book about AI, Unexplainable, Unpredictable, and Uncontrollable. Can you tell me more about that and what's in there?
So that's kind of a summary of about 10 years of research on those topics. I think to be able to control advanced AI, we would need a certain tools. We should be able to explain how they work. A large neural network has a lot of components. What do they all do? How do they interact? Can we look at those neural weights and figure out if a system is lying to us, if a system is hallucinating? We should be able to predict what it's going to do, verify its behavior. There is about a dozen of similar tools. And in a book, we kind of look at each one and go, yeah, we can have some progress in each one of those directions, but there are upper limits. So maybe I can understand why this particular neuron gets excited on certain inputs, but it doesn't mean I fully comprehend the whole large language model. And if you have a system which you know is smarter than you, maybe I can predict what it's trying to do, but I definitely cannot predict how specifically it's going to get there.
And do you think this is different than other things, Roman, in the past that you've been able to predict or try to see in the future with your crystal ball as a futurist?
A little bit. When we talk about narrow AI, domain-specific systems, deterministic systems, we know what is the range of possible values. We know how to test them. We know what the edge cases are. Here, it's general, so we can no longer test all possibilities. We don't even know what behaviors to expect. A lot of times we train those models and then later experiment on them to see what is it they are capable of. That's very different from standard engineering approach, where we design a system completely. We know what properties it will have, what capabilities. This is more like experimentation in traditional science, where you have this artifact, this large language model, and you experiment on it to discover, well, how does it behave? And maybe we haven't found all the behaviors. We still discover new capabilities in old models.
And how do you see that affecting cybersecurity specifically?
It's just another domain. You will have new types of attacks. You will have great improvements in social engineering attacks. We see incredible deepfakes coming out. I just posted something on it where they're so good now, the target doesn't know if it's a real image or a generated one. Maybe somebody, took a picture while I wasn't looking. I can't tell anymore.
Crazy. And the implications for that. So your keynote at Techno in North Carolina this June couldn't be more timely. I know it's called Navigating the AI Era. Can you talk a little bit about what you want to cover during that?
So I will wait until the last moment to get the latest in AI developments because it changes so quickly. So I will definitely have the latest from that week or maybe that day. We'll see how it goes. It changes fast enough. I hope to address topics we mentioned. So of course, AI, generality, future capabilities, but also real existing problems. We have election coming up, so misinformation, deepfakes, any type of generated artificial inputs to humans, social engineering attacks would be interesting to cover.
Oh, that will be. And speaking of the election, is there anything proactive happening that can offset it, or just we won't know deepfakes versus not?
So it's interesting. Human psychology is such, even if I tell you the video you're about to see is generated, it will still change your mind if you with your own eyes see something by a candidate or against candidate. So it's interesting. A lot of people propose solutions based on cryptographic signatures, QR codes you can check to see if it's real or not. I think in most cases it's not going to make any difference in terms of how it impacts populace at large. I mean, there is a significant portion of people who think the planet is flat. So just having good evidence is not always enough.
True, true. And back to your keynote, what do you hope attendees in that room take away from what you're sharing?
Well, I always hope for the big picture. It's obviously wonderful if it helps them in their daily work, but also how will that impact their life long term? What majors should their kids pick up in college? Will there be college? How do you plan for retirement? How do you plan for existing in a world where you may not have anything to contribute to superintelligence?
Amazing. I also read your article in The Hill, and you really struck me because you ended it with that thought-provoking question: is what can AI do to us? Like, how would you answer that?
So that's actually going back to unpredictability, right? I can tell you what I would do to accomplish certain goals, but I cannot tell you what a super intelligent system would come up with. And that's the interesting part. We never had a situation where it wasn't just a tool in somebody else's hands. It's an agent capable of coming up with novel goals and novel ways to get there.
And is there any way, Roman, to make super intelligent AI safe?
If there is one, I haven't found it. It seems we're trying to create a perpetual safety machine by analogy with perpetual motion machine. It's not enough to make GPT-5 safe. You have to make it where, as it keeps learning and self-improving, and GPT-7 and 27 and 50, they all remain safe, bug-free, and fully under our control, regardless of how much smarter they get. That seems difficult.
So do you see any movements by, say, policy or anything else that will at least slow it down?
There is a lot of initiatives right now in governance. People definitely propose slowing down, monitoring amount of compute available. Multiple countries have started national AI safety institutes. So that's encouraging. At least there is some effort. I don't know how successful this type of initiatives can be to solve technical problems, especially as it becomes easier to do this type of training on local devices, laptops. It doesn't require Manhattan style size projects to accomplish. So that's a challenge we're gonna see in the next couple of years.
And do you think that will affect, like you alluded to, maybe what your children study? Do you see this being a much bigger field in the future?
Definitely, but it's interesting. We used to tell kids, for example, study programming. That's going to be so important. And now we're automating programming, so it becomes less important. And speaking English well is good for prompt engineering. So it's not obvious what occupations will be desirable in the future, if any.
Sure, we will see. And then, I mean, speaking of the future, what's on your radar? Because this is ever changing, or do you look at it more so in smaller increments because of how quickly it's moving?
Oh, there is so much, it's now impossible to keep up. This is really a challenge. Every day I become less and less of an expert in my own field as a percentage of knowledge. I may know more overall, but there are so many papers I haven't read, so many companies I'm not familiar with. So that's a little bit disappointing. You'd hope to get more knowledgeable as time progresses. But yeah, it's exciting in many ways. There is so much we can do with this technology if we do it right. There is scientific breakthroughs, medical. There's a lot of research going on life extension, curing diseases. So definitely exciting times, but we have to get it right the first time.
Right. So true. Your Twitter X account cracks me up because you have such a good sense of humor and about what can be a very serious topic. How do you keep the humor light considering all that you know or don't know for that matter?
If you think about it, all the computer bugs are just jokes in the source code. So really, it's just a big joke at the end.
Oh, well, thank you, Roman. I appreciate your time and we really look forward to seeing you in Wilmington.
Thank you so much for interviewing.